He is Cyborg Santos, one of the toughest men in the world. He was going strong and unstoppable, stacking up wins via decisions and submissions. He was preparing for a fight that seemed like just another routine job. But little did he know, that night will change his life forever.
Hand up. B, it's very hard to move. C, it's hard to breathe. So just about everything you need in a fight, you lose off the liver shot. It can come back.
Cyborg runs into the jump knee, and it's
Liver shot. It can come
back. Michael Page hit Cyborg Santos with a knee so hard that he fractured his skull.
Seen that.
His skull caved in, and the fucking MRIs are insane. I've never seen that. I've never seen anybody's head caved in like that.
Yeah.
Bad motherfucker. I want to see that guy in the UFC.
Yeah, he break dance and shit, yeah.
And just like him, many other professional fighters have had their lives changed because of this man. Now let's talk about the real MVP of this video, Michael Venom Page. This dude isn't just a fighter, he's a showman, an entertainer, and a knockout artist like no other. There are flashy fighters, and then there's MVP, a man who turns the cage into his personal playground. He doesn't just win fights, he humiliates his opponents, breaking them both physically and mentally. But who is Michael Venom Page, and how did he become one of the most polarizing figures in MMA history? Born on April 7, 1987 in London, England, MVP comes from a family of warriors. His father, originally from Trinidad and Tobago, and his mother from Jamaica, were both martial artists. Fighting was in his blood, but little did the world know, he would take it to a whole new level. From an early age, MVP was trained in freestyle kickboxing, and it didn't take long before his unorthodox style started making waves. His movements were different. Loose, relaxed, unpredictable. He was like a video game character come to life, bouncing around the cage, taunting his opponents, and delivering some of the most brutal knockouts ever seen. But MVP wasn't just about flash. He was a calculated killer inside the cage. His striking accuracy was off the charts, and his ability to read opponents made him one of the most dangerous fighters in the sport. And then, there was the fight that put him on the map forever. His battle against Evangelista Cyborg Santos. A fight that would go down in history, not just for the knockout, but for the gruesome, life-changing injury that came with it. The fight was set, Bellator 158, London. The crowd was buzzing, excited to see MVP do what he does best. Across from him stood Evangelista Santos, a veteran of the sport, a man who had been through countless wars inside the cage. He was tough, relentless, and had seen it all. Or so he thought. The difference in speed and timing was unreal. MVP was reading him like an open book. Then in the second round it happened. The knee that changed everything. Santos rushed in, desperate to land something. MVP saw it, measured the timing, and boom! A perfectly placed flying knee crushed into Santos's forehead. For a second, it looked like a regular knockout until the camera zoomed in. Santos wasn't just knocked out. His skull had literally caved in. The impact shattered his forehead, causing one of the most horrifying injuries in MMA history. The fight was over instantly, but the damage was permanent. Santos had to undergo emergency surgery, and just like that, his career was never the same again. And MVP? He celebrated like only he could, grabbing a Pokeball and pretending to catch Santos like a damn Pokemon. The disrespect was legendary, the internet exploded, and just like that, Michael Venom Page became the most talked about fighter in the sport. But this wasn't the last time MVP would deliver career-altering damage. Derek Anderson. The caved nose incident. Bellator 258. MVP wasn't just a flashy fighter. He was a nightmare to deal with inside the cage. His unorthodox movement, insane reflexes, and pinpoint striking made his opponents look absolutely clueless. And in May 2021, Derek Anderson was about to find out the hard way. Anderson wasn't just some random dude. They called him the Barbaric for a reason. Tough as nails, solid record, and never been finished. But none of that mattered when you stood in front of Michael Venom Page. The fight started, and MVP was doing what he does best, dancing, feinting, taunting. Then, boom. A perfectly timed jumping switch kick lands square on Anderson's nose. I'm talking about a completely caved-in nose, something straight out of a horror movie. Anderson somehow survived the round, but the doctors took one look at his face and said, "Nah, you're done." Another highlight reel for MVP. Another career-changing injury handed out, but this wasn't even close to the worst. But before he delivered another brutal injury, he had to face Douglas Lima to prove himself. That one happened in 2019, when Page met his biggest test yet. Douglas Lima, the humbling KO, Bellator 221. MVP was undefeated, knocking people out left and right, and was already being called the most dangerous striker in Bellator. But there was a problem. He had never fought someone like Douglas Lima. Lima was a monster, a former champion, with devastating leg kicks and world-class experience. If MVP wanted to prove he was the real deal, he had to go through him. First round starts, and MVP actually looks great. He's bouncing around, landing shots, stuffing takedowns. But in round 2, Lima made one of the coldest comebacks ever. MVP throws a punch, Lima chops his leg out from under him, and before MVP even touches the ground, bam. A nuclear right hand lands clean on MVP's jaw, knocking him out cold before he even hit the canvas. It was brutal. His first loss, his first real test, and just like that, MVP's hype train got derailed. But instead of disappearing, MVP did what champions do. He came back stronger.
Gotcha, bitch.
Douglas Lima 2. The redemption fight? Bellator 267. Fast forward to 2021. And MVP had climbed back up the rankings. He wanted revenge. This time, he wasn't looking for a highlight. He was looking for payback. The rematch was completely different. Instead of being reckless, MVP was patient. Instead of falling into Lima's traps, he played it smart. After 3 hard rounds, MVP got his revenge via split decision. It wasn't the flashy KO he wanted, but it was a win against the man who destroyed him. He had redeemed himself. But then, in 2023, MVP once again proved why he was different from everyone else. Because in Bellator 292, he didn't just win a fight, he shattered his opponent's kneecap in seconds. Goiti Yamauchi, the knee-shattering kick, Bellator 292. Goiti Yamauchi was no joke. A dangerous grappler, a veteran of the sport, and on a winning streak. People thought he might give MVP some serious trouble. Wrong. The fight starts, MVP throws a single calf kick, and bam! Yamauchi's knee explodes on impact. The dude immediately collapses, clutching his leg in agony. Slow-motion replays showed just how nasty it was. MVP's kick completely shattered his kneecap, ending the fight in 26 seconds. It wasn't just another knockout, it was a career-altering injury, the kind of damage that takes years to recover from. Another victim of MVP's brutal highlight reel. MVP's career has been full of violence, redemption, and insane moments. He's not just a showman, he's one of the most dangerous strikers in MMA history. But his story doesn't end here. Because after dominating Bellator, he finally made it to the UFC.
Bad motherfucker.
Yeah,
I want to see that guy in the UFC.
Yeah.
After dominating Bellator with his electrifying performances, Michael Venom Page set his sights on the biggest stage, the UFC. In December 2023, the MMA world buzzed with excitement as MVP finally signed with the promotion. He started strong, outclassing Kevin Holland in his debut with a unanimous decision win. But the road wasn't all smooth. He suffered a setback against Ian Garry at UFC 303. Did that stop him? Of course not. MVP bounced back, moving up to middleweight and proving his versatility. On February 1st, 2025, at UFC Fight Night 250 in Saudi Arabia, he took on the undefeated Shara Bullet Magomedov and put on a striking clinic. After 3 dominant rounds, he handed Magomedov his first career loss, making it clear MVP is here to stay. His journey in the UFC is just beginning, and the big question remains, who's next? Who do you want to see him fight? Or do you think someone will finally shut him down? Let me know in the comments. This is my first video, and I'd love your support. Like, comment, and subscribe so I can keep bringing you top-tier MMA content. I put a lot of effort into these videos, and I'd be hyped to build a great community of fighters. See you in the next one.